Welcome to Cretoni Entertainment. I'm Chris.
And I'm Bree.
We got a really special episode for you today. Tonight is the, ready for this? Battered background appreciation episode. We're going to talk for 15 minutes about this battered background piece of foam core I use.
And it's been through some stuff,
We're not going to talk about that.
Look at it, it's been through some stuff.
It has. We're actually going to talk about Commander Crayfish tonight.
Yeah.
I like Commander Crayfish. I've always liked Commander Crayfish as a villain. I think it's cool. He makes his, I like the training montage. His little Putty Rangers training montage he does, and then none of them are good enough to be the Red Ranger. But anyway, we're going to start with Agrax Earthshade. We've already primed this, our Krylon 2X Perfect Gray, as per usual. We're going to have scrolling across the bottom our Twitter, Instagram, and email to contact us, like and follow, all that good stuff. But we're going to take our Agrax Earthshade, and we're just going to paint it all over this entire model. Last Tuesday, I put out our first Tools and Tech Tuesday video. It's not going to be an every week thing where I specifically went over the paintbrushes I used, and this is not one of them. This is one of the fancy synthetic brushes you actually got me for.
I was going to say, that looks like one of my fancy schmancy ones.
Was it my birthday or Christmas?
I think those were actually Christmas.
Those are Christmas brushes.
Yes.
They're imbued with the power of winter.
They are imbued with the power of children's laughter.
So anyway, after doing that video, I decided to take out some of these fancy brushes you got for me. So this is one of the larger shaders. If you're using the brushes I showed on the Tools and Tech Tuesday video, you can use the shader brush or even the size 10 brush from that one to do this effectively. And we're being a little sloppy here. That's an expression we use a lot. We're being a little sloppy here.
I feel like that's kind of like when they give us headstones. It's going to say it's a little sloppy.
It's being a little sloppy. Well, it's because of my other headstone is that this is real easy to do.
Yeah.
We're trying to make the everyman paint job. We've talked about that 1,000 times, and this is going to be a very impressive final paint job for something that you can do with almost no ability, almost no experience, almost no practice. And it starts with this layer of Agrax Earthshade. And what this is going to do is it's going to create a ruddiness in the recesses of the model. And we may not hit every single square incher, since this is so small, square centimeter, I guess, of this model, but that's okay. It's okay if we miss a little. In fact, you'll see there's even a couple spots on here where it didn't kind of fill in entirely in the grooves. And I'm okay with that because this is a base coat.
Right.
This is irrelevant to the total thing. Now, you could also sub out if you wanted a more red rather than a more brown undertone. You could use Reikland Flesh Shade. But I went with this Agrax, and then I went with Citadel Kislev Flesh. And what I did is I just kind of took a shader brush and kind of a faux highlight. I didn't rub all of the Kislev flesh off of the paintbrush, so it's still fairly wet.
Right.
But just kind of a faux highlight because I don't want a solid color on this kind of belly section of his carapace. I wanted that brown to kind of still shine through pretty well. So it's kind of a faux dry brush, and I did it on the tips of his claws as well, because in every reference photo I saw of Commander Crayfish, his claws get kind of lighter towards the tips.
He got his nails done.
This is about as far as I followed reference photos for.
Well, I mean,
we kept him with kind of the red-orange that he has built in, but I got bored of looking at reference photos on this one, so I just kind of made most of it up. But it's going to work out. It's going to be pretty good. This guy was fast. I painted this guy really fast. Would it take an hour tonight at most?
Yeah, at that, yeah.
So anyway, I'm pulling out my tile from the last video and my contrast medium, my Yandin yellow contrast, and my Griff Hound orange contrast. And we're going to mix up something special here. And just using my paintbrush as kind of a measuring stick, we got 3 parts of the technical medium. We're going to have 1 part of the Yandin yellow, and we're going to have 2 parts of this Griff Charger orange.
Ooh, look at you teaching people all about the mixing and the making your own.
Yeah, let's say that's what I was doing. And I'm actually, when I dip my paintbrush into it, I actually wipe a good amount of it off on the tile. I want this to be a fairly light, translucent layer, and I'm just going for that area that we just painted Kislev Flesh.
His belly.
It still looks pretty orange.
Yeah.
It's not going to when we finish the next step.
No.
The next step is really gonna cover over it. And I did this video a couple of hours before I published this video. This last week was not a great week for me to get video-related hobby done. It just didn't pan out for me for various reasons. So anyway, once we've done that, we're going to take
least of which was the fact that we were so under the weather, none of us wanted to move.
We're going to take our Griff Charger orange here, and then we're going to paint all of the rest of his carapace with this. Thick coats of this, because I want it oozing down into the cracks of the carapace, and I don't want to go back and have to dry brush an orange over the top of this. So I did this really, really thick so the contrast could do what the contrast does. But yeah, this week was not a fantastic week for me making video content. Every time I sat down to paint, I just didn't feel like pulling out the camera setup and working on something. I actually wanted to start a whole team of rangers this week, and I had 2 teams of rangers lined up for potentially starting this week, but it really didn't pan out. So I really thought I was going to do the YouTube version of stock footage and do the third part of our Ranger Miser series. But coming off of Cyclopsis, I wanted to keep the momentum on painting going, and I was at work today, and I got inspired. Maybe inspired is not the right word, but I got just clued in on these ideas for what I wanted to do with Commander Crayfish out of nowhere. I was just doing my thing, and I said, "Oh, I'll bet I could use Kislev Flesh. I'll bet I could use a wash of Reichland Flesh Shade or Agrax Earthshade." And the only reason I picked the Agrax is because it was the first one I found. I didn't find my bottle of Reichland fast enough.
Those possibilities have been made off with.
And then I got home from work today, and while you were making dinner, and no, that's not the norm in our house. I do more than my fair share of cooking for all you misogynist gamers out there.
Chris is actually, meal-wise, he can make a better meal. I am the dish. Like, if you're making a dish, that's me. But if it's a meal, Chris is the man.
So anyway, I sat down. It's not really, I didn't really want to go off track on food preparation, but
I like food.
I was in the mood for seafood tonight, apparently.
Yeah.
So I sat down, and I said, I got a little time. I set up my camera rig, and I mean, probably less than an hour to paint this guy, and that's including dry time.
Yeah.
He painted really fast. So you may have noticed it on the claws. I didn't really say it out loud. I didn't bring the Griff Charger orange all the way to the tips of the claws. I brought it kind of right up to where the other contrast mix was. And while this is drying, it's time to start the first coat on the base. And you'll see I deliberately did this in frame. I'm using my fancy new dropper bottle.
I talked him into those. He didn't.
I did. I actually wanted to get bigger ones with more quantity of them off of Amazon. But the last time we were in a game store, they had the Army Painter, and this is about the only good thing from Army Painter. Their paints have mixing issues. They're good colors, but man, you got to shake them like crazy to get the color you want. I'm going to get sued by Army Painter now. But anyway, I put some water in this. Normally I'd use distilled water, but I don't know where I put my gallon of distilled water. And I used that for mixing paints here. So now we're going to go to Evil Sun Scarlet now that we're mostly dry. And I took a really just terrible brush. I don't even know where I got this from.
Oh, I do.
And I dip it in a little red, and I wipe most of it off, and I'm stippling red on his carapace. And I'm kind of focusing on the really armored portions of the carapace. Mm-hmm. And by stippling, guys, I mean I wipe most of this red off, and I'm just tapping the bristles against the model. I'm not painting. I'm not rubbing the brush on it. I'm literally tapping bristles on this model. And I went for these kind of side pieces, the kneecaps, above the claws, on top of the head. And Brie, I'll let you jump in here. I just wanted to kind of talk about the technique I was doing, but where did I get this brush? I think it's from those kids' art things.
No, it's Julian's.
Well, yes, what's that? Like a kids' art thing.
When we did his Valentine's Day box. That's actually one of the brushes from his Valentine's Day box.
Oh, is that what that's from?
Yeah.
I knew it was from some crappy $2 art thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're going to go back to our Abaddon Black, and we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to stipple the Abaddon Black right onto the model.
Is that your new word? Stipple?
It's like rhymes with nipple. And now we are
there goes.
Well, I was going to say we're demonetized, but we're not monetized anyway.
No.
But you see what I'm doing here is I'm kind of stippling more of the black, but leaving a lot of the red. So the black is kind of becoming almost like a sick crustacean racer stripe.
Now I want our local grocery store to get live crayfish in again, because now I'm really feeling like making crawfish again.
Oh, yeah. Our local farmers-owned grocery store had crayfish that one time. That was pretty tasty.
Yeah, they were good. They came live, too.
They were
It was
alive.
good stuff.
We had to pick out the dead ones before cooking them.
It was good stuff.
That's completely off topic.
Yeah, it is, but this is making me hungry.
So I was also thinking about hobby time this week.
Ooh, hobby time.
Hobby time. You don't have much hobby time these days.
I don't.
Now,
I don't. And that's not...
Now, for reference, Bree is not a gamer because I am a gamer. So, skinnier brush, Abaddon Black, just picking out the eyes.
Gotta make those black little buggy eyes.
Really nothing special to say here, just picking out the black.
Buggy eyes.
So anyway, Bree is not a gamer because I am a gamer.
No.
Nobody has directly accused her of that, but I'm sure there's people who have thought, oh, this guy conned his wife into being in these videos. Bree is actually slightly older than I am. I think she's been a gamer longer than I have.
Probably.
Possibly.
I've been a nerd longer than you have.
I mean, I went to a nerd school.
No. You went to...
You're a geek.
I'm a geek. That's true. Let me check that. I have been a geek longer than Chris. I actually have a history in anime.
So anyway, we're going to do our second coat on the base.
What are you doing?
Just the second coat on the base.
Oh.
There's, just a little more black paint, a little more water. There's really nothing technical to talk about for the rest of the video. It's painting the black base and then doing the orange, that ember orange we've used before, around the rim of the braces as we wrap up here. So we're pretty happy with the results of Commander Crayfish here. Actually, a pretty realistic look.
He does look good.
But anyway, Bree has been into geeking longer than I have, and we actually met over War Games many, many moons ago in a comic book store. So there is no, and I hate the phrase, there is no fake geek gamer girl here. Don't say fake geek gamer girl in our presence. That's a load of crap is what it is.
That's a good way to get yourself kicked out the room.
Yeah, you get to enjoy things in your capacity. And if that means super casually, great. If that means super hardcore, great. It just doesn't mean be the well actually guy. Nobody likes the well actually guy. Actually. But anyway, hobby time.
Yeah.
You haven't had a whole lot of hobby time lately due to various things.
It's hard to hobby with the babies.
I have shifted my hobby time to the mornings.
Yes.
And it wasn't intentional. I just kind of started waking up earlier and realizing that I was kind of lollygagging in the morning. Because what I do in the morning is I typically wake up and I get ready for work and I make our eldest Spawn's lunch.
Yes.
And then I go to work.
Yes.
Sometimes I'll sit down and I'll do emails from the night before. Realized I didn't really need to do that anymore, so I've shifted mine to the morning. Bree doesn't really have much hobby time right now. In the comments, if you guys would, or send it on our Twitter or Instagram or on our email, when do you guys do your hobby time? Mine typically is around 5:30 or 5:45 in the morning. I'll wake up and I'll sit down and I'll get in 45-ish minutes of hobby time every morning these days.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great because I can do it. It kind of relaxes me before the day starts. And when I get home, I'm not worried about whether or not I'm painting any miniatures. I get to spend time sitting down with you guys.
Yeah.
So when do you guys hobby? As we see our finished Commander Crayfish model.
Ooh, he's so pretty.
And that's it. I mean, this is one of the easier miniatures we've painted, and I think it's one of the best looking Power Rangers minis we have at this point.
Yes, and the contrasts that you use are good for a lot of other things too.
Mm-hmm. So give this a try. Use this technique. Don't use this technique. Doesn't really matter. Send us your photos. Send them to us on Instagram or Twitter. I don't know how Instagram works. Send them to us in email.
I've seen a couple of the ones that have been linked on Instagram with some of the people that follow us. They're great.
All right, I want to see your photos. Send them in to us, guys. Like and subscribe for more videos, and thanks for watching.
Night.